Hi, we're Shazam, the eNose project, and we're here to talk about the benefits of a digital nose.
But before we talk about electronic noses, let's talk about what makes your actual nose both so interesting and so difficult to replicate. The system in your body that controls your sense of smell is called the olfactory system. When you smell your favorite food, it's because that food has released multiple odorant molecules, which travel through your nostrils or through a channel in the roof of your mouth to reach a region in your nose called the nasal epithelium. The nasal epithelium contains olfactory sensory neurons, each of which has one odor receptor. There are around 450 odor receptors in the human nose, and several odorants can bind to each receptor. Once there's a high enough concentration of an odorant in the environment, it can bind one or multiple receptors with varying bonding strengths. This variation in the strength of odorant bonding, the ability for multiple odorants to bind at once, and the ability for one odorant to bind multiple receptors all allows us to differentiate between a huge range of scents. But once an odorant binds to a receptor, what actually allows us to perceive a smell? When a receptor is bound by an odorant, it allows that specific sensory neuron to transmit an electrical signal to the brain. Specifically, the signal is first sent to our olfactory bulb, which processes the information and helps us differentiate between different odorants. This information is then transmitted to the piriform cortex. The piriform cortex uses the processed information to actually tell you what you're smelling. Scientists still don't fully understand all of the pathways that allow our brains to interpret different smells. For example, there are still a lot of questions about how smell becomes so closely linked with our memory. But they do know that our sense of smell is highly sophisticated. You may have heard that our sense of smell is bad compared to other animals, like dogs or bears. However, researchers now estimate that humans can detect over 1 trillion different smells. To put this into perspective, our eyes can distinguish between millions of different colors, and our ears can only pick out around 500,000 tones. It's clear that our sense of smell is far more advanced than we tend to think. So if our own noses are so good at what they do, why would we want to make an electronic one? Researchers believe that electronic noses could be helpful to find contamination or spoilage in food products, to monitor organic substances in environmental air or water samples, or even to diagnose diseases. For example, electronic noses are being developed to detect volatile organic compounds from people's breath that can result in huge health issues such as asthma, arthritis, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and even lung cancer. These volatile organic compounds, VOCs for short, result from various metabolic and inflammatory processes within the body. By using electronic noses to understand VOCs, scientists hope to not only understand the mechanisms behind these specific diseases, but also improve methods for diagnosis.
Our project would operate by use of a metal oxide sensor, which is composed of 2 electrodes, a hot plate, and a metallic oxide layer on top. When heated, the electrode can chemically bind with compounds in the air, such as alcohol and ammonia. The sensor will then experience a change in voltage, which we can then use to find the amount of chemical in the air. More sensors like this can work in tandem to determine not only how strong a scent is, but what kind of scent it is, based on processing the data of the different sensor arrays.
In this demonstration of the hardware module in the design, when a cleaning solution containing alcohol is brought near the sensor, the resistivity of the sensor goes down, as shown through this screen. Through using repeated measurements, we can determine the concentration of the alcohol in the air surrounding the sensor.
By using neural networks, a form of machine learning initially modeled off of giant squid neurons, we can train a computer to recognize signals associated with each compound. That way, we can analyze both concentration and type of compound using only an array of metal oxide sensors. In future projects, we can use this processing tool to further study the functions of the olfactory system in the human brain and develop a better model for further application.